Hi, I'm Nathan with Fez Creations. I know a lot of you have been asking for a video, kind of a walkthrough of this, and so here it is. Pardon for the noise in the background. I'm at Harris Hill Raceway in the members garage, and as you can see, I've got some work to talk to you guys about. This is my 3D printed hardtop, and now the bones of it may be 3D printed, but there's a lot of other materials that go into constructing this. Initially, I know you guys may have seen these zip tie holes or metal staples holding everything together. That's for alignment. So when you get everything printed together, it may be easier to connect all these with zip ties, dowels, some sort of temporary adhesive. So then once it's all kind of built together and set, you can then put it on the car, and then you're able to use a hot stapler or epoxy. So when you have all your panels loosely connected, you can start fusing them together. And what I like to do first is use this. This is a hot stapler, and it's really good for bonding plastics together. There's a bunch of different types of staples. I don't know if you guys can see that. This is kind of a zigzag, and how it works is you put this on the tips of the hot stapler, it heats up, and you would weld it into on the underside of this, creating a very strong bond between the panels connected through metal, similar to if you were to melt metal screening or wire into it. So let's see if you can see when it does get hot. So when this gets hot, it gets red hot, so you want to be careful. And typically with the material I use a material called ASA. It's very similar to ABS, except it is UV resistant, high impact strength, high temperature resistance, very good chemical resistance, and so it's perfect for spending a day out on the track or transport. You don't have to worry about road grime or spending too long in the sun, degrading the top. The only thing that could damage it is acetone, but I don't know many people who encounter acetone on a daily basis. Before we get to the underside of the top, I want to talk a little bit about the exterior, and you'll notice the same as I've gone over, 3D printed panels. And then this is a Lexan or polycarbonate window. It's what a lot of the aftermarket hardtop Miata or any kind of someone who spends time on the track, and it's the same shape as what you would see on OEM hardtops. And so some people may put this on OEM hardtops because the glass is so expensive, but a lot of people who run fiberglass hardtops or carbon fiber hardtops use this because it's lightweight and shatterproof. And so that's pretty key when you maybe on the racetrack, or if you're transporting it, you don't have to worry about the potential of damaging glass, which is very helpful. Now we're on the inside of the car. For my use for this top, it's for track days, primarily to help with some of the airflow over the car and for keeping the sun off of me during the hot Texas summers we see here. So I'm not necessarily too picky about the finish on the interior. The exterior kind of does show the 3D printed panels and some of the other elements that differ from an OEM hardtop or a fiberglass hardtop, but I, for one, like that. I know some people will fiberglass over it and finish it out and paint it. You can do whatever you want, whether that's fiberglass matte and weave or carbon fiber or a mix of both, or using this as a mold for those and then removing it and having a raw fiberglass hardtop. What the black tape is covering up are the hot staples, and they're spaced about 2-3 inches apart on average, and then I go in with epoxy or UV curing adhesive, run the underside of it, and then I will remove the I guess the teeth or prongs from the hot staples, and then cover it up with tape. And one thing that tape does help with is when you are ready to finish the exterior side, if you are leaving it 3D printed, it allows you to use something like JB Weld, Clear Weld, or another kind of UV resistant epoxy adhesive. And so that way it will not drip through it. So you're able to, that way you're able to let the epoxy cure in place rather than having to remove the top. It prevents the epoxy from dripping into your car, and then you can just leave it on afterwards. A lot of people ask if the zip ties that they see in the photos hold the top together. They do for alignment, but then I remove them once everything is set, and I use 1/16 inch steel cable, usually coated, and I have created these cable systems using over here, tension bolt things, clamps, crimps. I use special tools. So this allows you to crimp the metal collars, making sure that they do not have any wiggle room to move. And then this is just a 100-foot box of black coated steel cable, very strong. It's 1/16 inch, can hold up to about 100 pounds. If you wanted to go up to 3/32, that's I think double, so it can do about 180 or 200 pounds. And so I've wound it through the loops, so on the exterior it still kind of looks like there's zip ties connected through. And so on the top side, and so on the front of the car, they loop through the panels, and then they connect to the hardtop brackets. And so the steel cable is connected to the hardtop brackets, and they're bolted on the windshield brow. And so that gives you 3 connections in the front if you're using my print size, which is 300 by 300 by 400 millimeters. And so that provides very strong connection with a little bit of flexibility still. And then for the rear panels, the Lexan glass really ties in a lot of the smaller pieces that run along the bottom of the window, making that very solid, still providing adequate flexibility and strength. But over the roll bar, I wanted to provide additional attachment points, and so what I did was use the same steel cable. Rather than relying on only the panels for the rear section of the hardtop, I also integrated the steel cable into the roll bar. And so I wrapped some cable around the top bar of the roll bar, allowing each panel to be tied in to the body's chassis, and still providing that flexibility and reducing those stress points that may only rely on the mounting blocks. They also tie back into the hardtop brackets at the seatbelt tower. And once everything's connected, due to the fact that you have these kind of tension rods that you can loosen or tighten, when you do take your top off, you are able to loosen that, unhook it, and remove the assembly. It might sound like a lot with the staples, the adhesives, the cables, but it's all relying on factory mounting locations. So the cables mount into the brackets where the hardtop would connect to the car, and they have built-in tension rods, and so you're able to tighten or loosen them. When taking the top off the car, you would do the same, 2 bolts on both sides of the front, 2 bolts on the blocks on the side, and then all you would have to do is loosen the cable using a tension adjuster, which you can find all of this stuff at the local hardware store. It's very cost effective. You know, total supplies really shouldn't be more than $30 here in the US. And in terms of connecting everything to the car, I believe once you've got your mounting points set, you've got your brackets in, you've got your cables all tied up, the hardtop should be ready to roll. And of course, that's up to you to. Everything is based on the person building it, so everyone may have their own opinions about how things should be put together or how it should be finished. You know, this is just one way out of many. This is the way I decided to do it. But you know, if you have other options, please share with me, or if you've done something similar, you know, I'd love to see it. I've never filmed a video before, so I hope that wasn't unbearable. You know, I probably didn't answer many questions at all. I hope I provided some insight onto how this works. You know, let me know if you have any questions. Thanks for watching. I appreciate everyone's support. This is the first video I've ever made of just like myself, so I hope it's not terrible. Videography skills are at 0 right now, so I'm going to try to stitch this together and hope you guys are able to learn from it. So, thanks. I'm Nathan with Fez Creations. Fez was a nickname given to me a long time ago, and just kind of rolled with it on all my social media, and just kind of integrated that into this little hobby that I've turned into a kind of a business to help the community. Not only Miatas, but I plan on venturing out to Hondas, Toyotas, Porsches, and I also do work outside of hardtops, like providing design for people who may race cars, who may want special products like louvers, fender vents, mounts for screens. So there's many things that 3D printing is capable of,